everyone, and welcome to episode number 50 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. Today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021, and we have a gorgeous, cold winter day here today. Beautiful blue skies. It's cold out. It's in the 20s, and the wind has died down today. The last couple days were so windy and so cold. So today, Coke Zero. I'm not even going for tea today. We finally have some canned drinks in the house. We seldom have them, so when we do, I tend to drink a lot more of them than I need to, so we don't buy them often. But I love Coke Zero. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Not good. So if you're a new viewer, welcome, and thank you so much for checking me out. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another episode to see what I've been up to. So, what have I been up to this past week? We're back to work, back to school. University's back in session now. I'm teaching everything strictly online, so everything is remote. I don't go anywhere. I just stay home. And in between grading, as little rewards for getting a little bit of grading done, I give myself some time for knitting. And in the evenings, I tend to do mostly crocheting, working on my one crochet project right now. But I've had a busy and productive week. I've got a lot done, and I'm really happy with my progress. I'm back down to 3 whips right now. I was at 4 last week. And probably by the time the weekend is over, I will be finished with another one, but I'll probably cast on another one. And I'll explain all of that in just a couple minutes. So first things first, let's talk about my finished object. My sock design. This is that's just the magnetic thingy so it stands up properly. I have the first sock done for my new sock design. I like the little edge here, mirrored on both sides. And I don't know if this is cheating or what, but if the socks that I'm designing, if the two in the pair are exactly the same, for the purposes of doing the designing, I knit one sock. Unless the pattern has something that mirrors in the second sock, I don't knit the second sock. So this is one case where I do have, I don't even want to call it single sock syndrome. It's just the way I do them. I only knit one sock, just so I can make sure that everything works as I'm putting the pattern together. So this is the first one in a series of masculine or unisex socks, and they're all going to be in a relatively straightforward, non-feminine, non-frilly or lacy or anything like that. They're mostly going to be variations of ribbing stitches and knit and purl stitches, some cables perhaps down the road. But my plan is to make 12 designs, one for each month of the year through 2021. And since they're masculine socks or unisex socks, I've decided that I'm going to name them after a dozen men in my life. That sounds bad. But no, they're going to be named after my husband, my father, my stepfather, my two grandfathers, some of my favorite uncles, my uncles. And they're just going to be men that are very close to me and have played an important role in my life. So the first one is John. And these ones are named after my husband. His name is John. And yeah, so he's, aside from my dad, he has had the biggest influence on my life and has been the biggest part of my life. It's not going to be much longer, and he will have been in my, actually, oh my goodness. Now that I think about it, I think I have spent more of my life with my husband than with my father. My father died when I was 33 years old. And my husband and I have been married. This year we will have been married 32 years? 33 years. We'll have been married for 33 years in September. So, and we were dating for several years before that. So actually, yeah, now that I think about it, my husband has actually been in my life longer than my dad was. He died young. I was fairly young when he did die. Anyways, let's just get on to another before I start I'll get emotional on the second ones. I think will be my dad's socks. But these ones, the pattern name will be John. I'm calling them a finished object because the knitting part is finished. I have sketched out and have my rough notes of the pattern design, and what I'm going to do is probably this afternoon, evening, and tomorrow I will work on getting the pattern written up, and I have a couple people lined up to do some test knitting, although I think I might release, I haven't decided. I would love to release this pattern tomorrow while it's still January, because I would like to do them since they are, I want to put out one per month. I really would like to have this pattern released tomorrow at the latest so that it is released in January. So that's the plan. So I will let you know next week that it has been released and all that good stuff. I might put some kind of little notification in my show notes below, details about that. I'll get that figured out as I get the pattern ready for publishing. But I am hoping to get the pattern written up and finalized today and tomorrow, and get the pattern released on Ravelry, and I plan on releasing it on both Ravelry and Etsy for those that are unable to use Ravelry currently. I also will have the pattern released on Etsy as well. I might look into some of the other places that people have been posting patterns outside of Ravelry in recent months, but for now I will publish the pattern both on Ravelry and Etsy. So there we go, John. The first of 12 socks that my goal this year is to publish 12 sock designs that are masculine or unisex. So here we go. Here's John. Let me introduce you to John. That's gonna make him, actually he might watch the podcast when he sees what the title is. I'm losing my marbles, people. Anyway, so there we go, finished object. I'm happy with it. I love them. And they're a relatively quick and easy knit. So they're very beginner friendly. And yeah, alrighty, so I'm gonna quit babbling about that. I talked about that for a lot longer than I thought I would. Anyway, I guess I'm in a talkative mood today. Maybe there's more caffeine in this stuff than, that's probably it. There's probably more caffeine in here than there is in my regular teacup. Sorry. So now on to my works in progress. This is partly a finished object, or it's part of a series in finished objects. My second Advent mitten. And these are from the Mitten Garland Advent Calendar by Kathy Lewinsky. I used 2.25mm needles, or a US size 1, and I used Knit Picks palette yarn. And I don't recall the color names. These are just scraps and extra yarns that I have in my stash. So this is sock. Sorry, this is mitten number 2. They're so cute. I'm really enjoying these. They're so much fun to work on. And as I've mentioned in earlier episodes, I'm working on these as a knit along with a group of friends of mine online. And we decided we'll start out knitting 5 rows per day, and every 2 weeks we will finish another mitten, so that by the time we get to the beginning of December, we will have all 24 mittens, individual mittens done. So mitten number 2 is complete, and mitten number 3 is started. Now, I'm not sure if that 3 looks a little wonky right now. I'm going to wait until I'm farther along, and I might have to do some duplicate stitch over top of it and do some fandangling with it. But here's what we have so far for mitten number 3. So that's 2 days worth. So next week you'll see it where it's going to be 2/3 of the way done. So I gained progress on that. Oops, skein down. Those were my Mitten Garland Advent Calendar progress. Is that the right word? This is anyway. So my next work in progress is my Demyaka Lopa cardigan by Penagiri. I am using 2.75 and 3.0 millimeter needles, or a US size 2 and a US size 2.5. The smaller needle are for the ribbing at the neckline, for the cuffs, and for the button bands. The bulk of the sweater is done on the 3mm needles. I'm using whole super soft yarn for this in 6 different colors. The 2 key colors I'm using are silver gray and cobalt. So the silver gray is the main color of the body, and the cobalt are the little fleas. And then I have a variety of other colors that were part of the neckline on the yoke. So here's the 2 key colors I'm using right now. I'm just trying to figure out where to put them so I don't send them flying across the floor. And I've made some decent progress. Not quite as much as I wanted to, because I spent more time, where am I pointing? Working on the socks, or sock design. But I've made nice progress on it. I had hoped that this week I would be at the point where I was able to, where are my needles? Just making sure my needles haven't escaped on me. I was hoping to be at the point where I could separate for the armholes, but I'm not quite there. I'm getting close. I'm probably only need to do another inch or 2 at most. Sorry, just making sure I didn't lose anybody. No, I'm good. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys. So here's my progress this week. So I've added from where the marker is forwards. So it's not been a lot. I do have more fleas, so you're able to start seeing the flea pattern developing here. So I'm making decent progress, and I am hoping to get a lot more work done on this week. I have, for my February sock design that I want to work on, I'm going to have the whole month of February, or I have a lot more time to work on that. So I'll have more time to work on this. And my other work in progress, in all likelihood, will be complete before I see you guys again next week. I'd honestly be very surprised if it's not finished in time for my podcast next week. It's really close now, and you'll see that in just a little bit. But here's my Damyaka Lopa so far. Keep holding it upside down. So there we go. I'm really enjoying this. The flea pattern it's nice and easy to work, so to speak. And it's just getting to the point now where it's the relatively mindless portion of the knitting, where I'm just going around and around in circles. Sorry, I was just getting all tangled up over there. I'm just going around and around in circles now in the two colors. And so the color work patterning portion of it is very straightforward. So I'm hoping to be able to show you guys a lot more progress on this next week. So we shall see. Come back next week and see what I've accomplished on that. And my final work in progress is my Granny Stripes blanket wrap, whatever I want to call it. This is a pattern by Lucy of Attic 24, and I am using all sorts of sock yarn scraps. So all kinds of leftovers that I have. Scary thing is I still have a ton of leftovers and scraps. I need another scrap project soon. Ay. Too much. Too many scraps. But I am going to, once I'm done with Granny Stripe, I'm going to have to sort through all of my sock yarn scraps and see what else I might be able to do with them. See what other projects I can come up with, or find things to do with them. Because I still do have, once I'm done this, I'll still have quite a bit left. Do you have suggestions for what else I can do with them? Maybe I'll start making hats with some of them. Scrappy hats? I can donate them. There's an idea. Anyway, let's take a look at this. So I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. It's somewhere in between a G and an H in US sizes. So it doesn't have a direct translation from millimeters to US crochet hook sizes. So it's a 3.5mm, so it's somewhere between a G and an H. So you can use anything along that line, will be fine. I'm gonna try to put the ball of yarn down someplace so it doesn't, it's still gonna go, it's gonna get away on me, I'm sure of it. So in the last week, I've gone from the marker here all the way up here. So again, I've made fantastic progress on this. So again, another foot, more than a foot more has been added on here. This thing is getting nice and big. Where's this tail going? Hang on. Oi, come on. Where are you tangled up? This is also why I put a little stitch marker on the stitch here so that I wouldn't unravel half a mile of crocheting. So as you can see, it's big. You see it went through phases. There's a bunch of greens in here. But yeah, that kind of went through a green phase through here. And now I'm into some brights down here. But it is now at the point where it is almost as tall as I am. And I still want to do it again, maybe a foot longer. I want it to be longer than I am. And I'll be able to fold it up and wrap around in it while I'm watching TV. Or if I want to, it'll be just right for laying it out on laying out on the couch to have a nap under it, or I can put it on the bed for me to use. But here's where I am. So my guess is, at the speed that I'm able to crochet at, my guess is I honestly think this will be finished for next week. Or it'll be finished before I film next Saturday. I'm kind of hoping that I can finish it in the next 2 or 3 days. I really hope I can finish it in the next couple days. And then that way what will happen is I'm going to cast on the February socks, which are going to be Ronald for my dad, will be the second pair of socks. So I'm going to get those started probably later this afternoon, evening. I'll get the cuff started and work out the stitch design pattern I want to use on it. But then I'm not going to be in as much of a rush to get those finished as I was with my January socks with John. So once I get the pattern written up and organized for John, I'm going to get started on Ronald and work on that over the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm expecting I might kind of stretch it out and let it take closer to 3 weeks to finish. We'll see. But once I'm done with my granny stripes, I'll be down to 3 whips. I'll have my Demiekalopa. I will have my garland mittens, the Advent mittens, where I'm only doing 5 rows a day, so that doesn't take up a lot of my day. I typically work on that in the morning while I'm sipping a cup of tea and poking around on the computer. And the new sock design that'll be coming out next. So once Granny Stripes is done, I'm going to try to refrain from casting on another whip, and I want to keep it down to 3. Demiekalopa, which I want to be able to start spending more time with that, because now that I'm down to the somewhat more mindless portion of going around in the fleece section, it'll be something I can knit on and work on while I'm watching TV with the hubby in the evenings. That's typically when I have been, up until now, that's when I've been working on Granny Stripes. And I'm going to sub that out and I'm going to start working on Demiekalopa in the evenings also. So I'll have Demiekalopa, which I want to do most of my spare time on. Garland Advent mittens, those will be for a little while every morning, and then the new sock design. So I'm going to try to refrain from casting on yet another project. So I do want to get Demiekalopa much farther along in the process before Sock Mat starts up in March. So we shall see. We shall see. So tune in next week. You will see a goodly bit of progress on the Advent mitten. So I'll have another 6 or 7 days knitting done on that. So the hand will be 2/3 to 3/4 done. I hope to have, or no, I'm not going to say I hope to have. I will have my Granny Stripes blanket will be done. It'll be 100% done. And see how much progress I've made on Jemiakalopa and the Ronald socks. Alright, but I don't think I've got anything else. Life has been quiet. There's nothing, I don't really have any chattering to do about other things in life because knitting and crocheting, remote working, not going anywhere, not doing anything exciting. I do have a quilt top that my mom gave me a little while back. In the fall, she mailed it down to me. And I've found somebody who does long arm quilting who will be quilting that for me. I went to drop it off yesterday, but she was not, she had taken the day off for something. So I will go either on Monday or Wednesday. She works Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, usually, except last Friday. So I will go Monday or Wednesday, and I'm going to drop that off and have her do the quilting on that for me. So I will show you that once I get it back again. And otherwise, that's about it. It's been really quiet and boring here. Boring can be good though. Get lots of knitting done. So, anyway, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye.